So, final case assembly. We're getting near to completing the case now. I haven't done the temperature sensors yet. This is just a sort of hastily assembled just to make sure it all goes together. There's a couple of things I would do differently and I'll explain those. As you can see, I've used a wooden spacer here to get the baseboard height up to the height where the LTO mountings are. I've drilled right through, nuts and bolts through every mounting point here, apart from the ones that are separated by like an inch high. I don't think there's any point to use those. In fact, you could grind those off if you wanted to. So down this side we've got the same. So this piece of wood here just brings it all up to the same height, and it's incredibly solid now. This baseboard attached to this wood at the side here, and the blocks are all mounting and sitting on the base. And once this is all in situ, it should be incredibly secure and solid. So there's a couple of things I'd do differently on the switchboard side. This plastic sheet I put in, when I pass the cables through from the switchboard, instead of passing any out at the lowest possible level, I would bring them all out one level higher. That way then clear this space, a piece of wood. You'll see here I had to cut a little notch out here for one of the bolts I used, and I also had to cut a notch out for the cable, which you may or may not be able to see down there. So I would just bring those through a row higher up on those cell ends. So that's not a major problem. And this one maybe is a tiny bit short, because this positive has to go under here. It will go, but it's perhaps a little bit tighter than ideal, so I would probably loop that round next time if I was doing that again. But you know, you only learn these things by assembling it. So these are the fully modified BCM and MCM. The only thing I've got to finish off when the last part arrives is the BCM Fooler module. Now, mounting the BCM Fooler module, you have got some space in here, of course. It's a nice insulated little box. So I may mount the DC to DC converter and the BCM Fooler module in here, although it might not be such a good idea because the HV is the wrong way round for the cable. Anyway, so you've got places to mount things. That's empty. Or we just stick a little box on top here with the BCM Fooler module. It requires 4 wires, 2 wires to pick up HV from the battery, and 2 wires to go to ignition switched 12 volts so that it powers up when the car ignition is turned on. And that's the HV side Fooler done. And the rest of it is all plug and play. Just got to connect. I haven't connected the tails yet, obviously, so it's all safe at the moment. And I've also put a massive cable tie round. I think it's probably completely unnecessary, but it's just what I had kicking around, so I thought I might as well. It's done up as tight as I can do it, but it's not very tight really, and it's just keeping the cells, those 2 blocks together, but they aren't going anywhere with the massive amount of bolts that go right through the case as well. The ones that are within the case frame, they go right through the case, so the whole structure is very, very solid. And yours, of course, underneath won't have that cutout. Yours will have a solid, completely solid base, and also extra webbing at the top here. You might be able to get away with a little piece of webbing across here, so you might not need to cut all that away. And there's also a section under here which you can't see because I've got this in the way at the moment, where there is a space between the 2 blocks, and you could possibly leave that piece of the upper case structure in position there, which would give it a bit more rigidity. But now we've got these bolted back on, it's retained, it's obviously still got a lot of rigidity, and it's a nice solid lump. It's pretty heavy though. It's probably now definitely a 2-man job to get that back in, although I can lift it, so one very strong individual might be able to do that. Or realistically it's probably going to be a 2-man job to get it in the car. I would normally probably assemble it in the car, but obviously this is the prototype on the bench and I need to put it all together to see that everything fits in the right places. But so that's where we are at the moment. The case with the cells mounted in, temperature sensors etc. to do this afternoon, and the BCM Fooler when it arrives, and then it will be ready to go into the car.